Good morning. My name's Chris Murray. I'm a chief exec of a place-based charity, which is a national charity for infrastructure. Why Jim's chosen me, I do not know, but you've got me for the next 30 minutes or so. And what I would like to do is just introduce the panel, and then I'll come back and just fill in a couple of gaps based on the things I've heard so far. So I'd like to introduce Abdirahman Ahmed. I'd like to give him a last little ripple. Thank you. Last round of applause. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Natalie, Vincent. Candice, James. And Tina, Ramdeen. So the conversation for today really is around breaking barriers, building the futures for young people. One of the challenges around when we think about young people, we don't, in a way, think about the pathway to success. And that doesn't start at when you're 13 or 14. That starts when the children are much younger. So I want you to start to think about that whole journey from a 5, 6-year-old, for those that are far better than me, younger, because their pathway to success starts much, much earlier. It starts at home, starts in the various spaces that they're in. So I want you to add that to your thinking. I want you to also to consider, what does skills mean? What does the level of support, types of support look like? And ultimately, what does success mean? Success means different things to different people. For me, getting a job, staying on the right side of trouble was always the minimum of success in my household. From there, you can grow. And there you can have an opportunity to be successful in other areas. So some of the questions that were posed earlier, some of the statements, and I just want to read out a few. Alison McGovern spoke about, from a ministerial point of view in terms of employment, 22 billion being invested in health. I think that's a huge number. Not quite sure how we eat that elephant, but we do need to think about what that means in this context. We also have to think about the youth guarantee. And again, what does that mean for the young people that you work with directly, for the young people that are in your sphere of influence, that are maybe 1 or 2 steps away from your direct involvement, but also think about that local leadership, the space that actually I think is really important, and I'm glad you raised that. Because the people closest to the groups of young people that we know and we work and we love are those people that are doing that local leadership piece, the youth workers, the school teachers, the people that are seeing the young people on a day-to-day basis, unlike me now. I'm a little bit too old for all that messing around, so I don't see them so much. But what it really tells me is that we've got 3 really key intersections, one around employment, one around education, one around that sort of social mobility, the environment that young people sort of frequent. And we saw that on the video, without a shadow of a doubt, the environment plays a massive part on how young people see themselves. We saw what Councillor Holland spoke about, which is the trailblazers, you know, with 5 in London, 2 being specific to children and young people, or young people in this regard. We spoke about jobs and career services, and it reminded me of connections. So I'm a little bit older than quite a lot of you, so I'm just wondering if that's something on their radar. Child poverty at 34%, or there or thereabouts across London. So we've got a lot to think about, but here's the positives. Jim spoke about being an inclusive growth and being an inclusive city, and we're bursting with talent. I think that's so crucial to remember. This is about being positive. This isn't about a space that's negative. We can do that all day, any day. And Noah spoke about never too young to lead and never too old to learn. That's my mantra for the rest of the week. So thank you, Noah. That's a freebie, and I'm taking it. So I just want to pose the questions through that lens, if that's okay. So Abdirahman, I'm just thinking about you as an individual. What challenges did you face growing up and shaped your journey, and what kind of support helped you to succeed?
So I kind of want to start by asking you guys a question, okay? Well, 2 technically. Let's see a raise of hands if you believe London is one of the best cities in the world. Okay?
1 or 2.
Keep your hand up if you learn money management in school. Look around, ladies and gentlemen. So everyone put their hand up for the first question, and I think we see 3 to 4 hands up now. That's the issue for me, okay? With a generation that is predicted in modern history, the first time in modern history, that's going to be poorer than their parents. Wages are stagnant, unemployment is high, child poverty is crazy. We spoke about COVID, but why are we forgetting about Brexit all of a sudden? Right? It's a massive issue that we're kind of going through, but the context of it all stands with the fact that since we've been born, since young people have been born, we've gone through one thing after another. Now, the biggest blessings that I've had are the family people around me, or the older generation that are slightly above me, that were like, cool, I need to put you on. So for me, the biggest challenge, one is financial education, and the second one was the lack of mentoring. With the financial education, I've been very fortunate that I found my own social enterprise now, where I teach young adults around financial literacy. Because there are amazing organizations that are going into school age right now, such as the My Banks of the world. However, in 2014, when I was in year 9, financial education was put in the curriculum. So I had year 9, 10, 11, and also potentially sixth form to learn about it. Yeah, I didn't learn it in school. There's a generation of 18 to 25-year-olds who left the education system who don't understand the basics of managing their money. Now comes the second point about mentoring. If I don't see people that look like me in certain positions, if I don't see opportunities that I can potentially access, how do they know they exist? This building's amazing, isn't it? It's beautiful. I've cycled through here a couple of times on a line bike, never entered one of these buildings before. Opportunity like this is what it means to us.
Thank you. I think there's a lot of powerful statements in there, and I just want to just echo the fact that Urban Rise, your organisation, is in that space. So I want to reflect on that. Candice, I just had a bit of a thought. I'm not going to change the question because that would be unpleasant of me. But from your perspective and thinking about, you're the director of Loughborough Community Centre, and as one of the partners for the Mayor's Fund for London, one of the challenges, I suppose, is what partnerships have you seen which successfully support young people and into good jobs and future careers? So what do you think is that test we need to look at?
So I've been leading Loughborough Community Centre for 16 years now. We work with children from 0 right up to 13 officially, but our children don't leave us. So by extension, we've got a cohort of rising young people in our space. We formulate our activities from our values of listening to our community of both young people, parents and children within our space. So when we are thinking about those partnerships, we're thinking about what interests our young people. What is hot? They all want to make money. When I speak to my young people, the number one thing is how do we make money? And part of that is, as an organisation, working with young people to be able to develop our own local workforce, but also thinking about the employers who can come into our space to inspire and connect with our young people, meeting them where they're at. We have a safe space. We're in a centre called Max Roach Adventure Playground and 1 O'Clock Club. Many of our children have come for many, many years. Many of our children might not be the best at school, but in our space, they thrive. So come and meet. We want employers to come and meet young people in our space where they feel comfortable, where they are nourished. There's always a hot meal. Corporates are great. There's so many corporate initiatives around coming in to do corporate volunteering days as well as hold events. But what we recognised in our space is that we couldn't have the tokenistic one event at Apprenticeship Week. You need to have a rolling programme of activities throughout the year, because young people don't just step into a space and think, yeah, this is for me. Also, because there's a multitude of young people needing these opportunities, you might not get your first opportunity that you step into. But having employers come into our space at various points throughout the year really enables young people to connect with different industries. One of the things that I really loved is that some of the teams would come in and actually play with young people, whether that's sport, art, share your skills, because actually you need to get to know what makes these young people tick. There are some amazing, despite the bleak outlook for many of our young people, we're in a highly disadvantaged area, they are great young people and they have so much potential to do great things. And part of my role and our role, I suppose, is to inspire young people to dream beyond their wildest dreams. So I think giving opportunities, making sure employability is embedded within your activities, it shouldn't be an afterthought. And I think definitely in our space where we're always trying to nurture talent And I definitely do have the next Prime Minister in our space as young people, but bringing them to different environments. I feel honoured to be here today, but I've got no young people with me. I should have brought a pool of young people to inspire them that, yes, we can be in places like this.
Yeah.
So part of my role is to broaden the opportunities to take them out of their safe environment, sometimes to an unfamiliar environment like this, because they could have a place here too.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Before I move on, Candice, you did touch on something I want to come back to, if that's all right, which is play.
Yeah.
And I said it at the beginning that, you know, we're talking about young people and their journey, but there were younger young people before that. So I think that the notion of play is maybe underrepresented in a way. So tell me why it works in your space. What does the notion of play services work?
So we believe play is the highest form of education. It's where it all begins. My practice is rooted in the early years. So I've got 2-, 3-, and 4-year-olds who are the next doctors, nurses, teachers, and everything. We inspire from a young age. And we plant those seeds of inspiration from young. What we recognise in our space is that sometimes the network isn't around, or if your home isn't as inspiring as we'd like it to be, then it's our role as a community organisation to plant those seeds of inspiration. Also being in a space where you can grow and transition throughout your childhood years, it's familiar, it's comfortable. Children and young people trust us as adults that we will make good choices and give good opportunities. But I recognise the role of the parent. The parents trust us as a centre, as a staff team, working with their children and young people. And also I recognise the role of the corporates and the job opportunities for parents as well as their children. So I think it starts with play. It has to be playful. And I think it's an easy, it's the beginning of where it starts. So if we can be playful with these opportunities, it's a win.
Another golden nugget for me today to take away. I hope it was free. Don't charge me. Really valuable insight. Tina, you're an associate director of young people at the Roundhouse. I'm super jealous of it for a variety of reasons. I love the building. I just think it's amazing what you guys do there. And the question that came to me, and I've had to kind of consider your space and the work that you do and what you do with your staff team. The creative industries are often seen as less accessible to young people from marginalised communities. What strategies have you found effective in breaking down those barriers?
Thank you. So just for context, many of you will know the Roundhouse as an iconic music and performing arts venue in Camden that brings incredible talent from all over the world to the stage. What you may not be familiar with is that we are also a charity that works with young people. We work with over 10,000 young people a year that come to our site, and we have 2 designated provisions on the Roundhouse estate in Camden that are solely for young people to use 7 days a week. That's 26 spaces, studio spaces and facilities that are purely for young people to use every day, 7 days a week. And we work with children from the age of 11 all the way through to young adults up to 30. And so at the Roundhouse, we see our role not only as a venue, as an industry establishment, but also as a youth club and a place for young people to come and learn and explore and connect and play. We've got 3 core strands of our work, really, in terms of the strategies that we employ. Our work with 11 to 17-year-olds is predominantly around access to creativity, so equitable access to high-quality creative opportunities. Those spaces that are just available for young people is essentially a youth club on our site. And if anyone's been to the Roundhouse and you've been in that central stage, the main space, there is a youth centre directly underneath your feet, which is open for young people to use 7 days a week. Over 200 courses that are led by industry professionals, but a team of youth workers are supporting young people day in, day out. So essentially, the provision that you've explained for slightly older children, but that connected within an industry setting. And we work with young people that come to us, but we also meet young people where they are out in community settings and in schools. And to your point, the creative industry is really nebulous in terms of the opportunities available, the careers and those pathways to access and then progress. So our job is also to raise awareness of that, both within schools and community settings. The second part of our work is really around access to industry. So supporting young people from diverse backgrounds and those backgrounds that are underrepresented within the creative industries, and supporting those young people to access, sustain and to, an earlier point was made, to thrive within the creative industries. And so we offer training programmes that directly train young people and prepare them for roles and jobs and the sectors in the industry. We are the industry, so we know what those needs are. But we're also a youth provision, so we understand the needs and aspirations of young people. And we're in a really unique position where we can match and pair the two. And we do that through training programmes in terms of technical training, artistic and creative development, and then supporting creative freelancers and entrepreneurs for a workspace that's also open 12 hours a day for freelancers and young people that are setting up creative businesses. And then finally, we are at the Roundhouse, we are the industry, we are the sector that we're talking about. So we have a role and responsibility to directly connect young people to those opportunities. And we are able to do that through providing paid employment opportunities, but also utilising and exploiting our networks. So we are able to build those networks for young people. As I mentioned before, those opportunities and the networks are nebulous. It's often about who you know. So we can build those networks for young people, build their confidence and understanding of the landscape. So across the board, those are the three techniques and strategies that we apply, really. We are a youth club, meeting the needs and aspirations of young people, working with them holistically as individuals, supporting that development and transition from childhood to adulthood. But we're also the industry that will support them to thrive and succeed in the industry itself. We can change the industry and we can support young people's journey through that. And recognising our position in that space and that uniqueness is really key. Our role to then be sector leaders in that model, in that way of working with young people, and making workspaces more accessible for young people as well. We can do it from both ways. So it's something that we're really proud of and really excited to be able to do on a day-to-day basis through those young people that are coming to us every single day, but also supporting that journey.
I mean, the ability to be culturally competent in a space which is about being creative is super powerful.
Yeah.
All groups of young people, irrespective of their journey to you and from you. So I'd like to give you a round of applause for that, because I think that's super powerful. Thank you. Just like to thank Jim for letting me come up. This is like a masterclass. I'm just benefiting so much from your experiences. Natalie Vincent, you're the Business Engagement Officer at St. John Bosco College. I have a question for you.
Yes.
It's a little bit long, because I've been adding stuff as I've been going along, so bear with me. How can employers help schools and colleges to better connect their students and meaningful opportunities for young people? Now, I do want to add children in that, but you just speak of that, to gain real-world experiences, which is exactly has just been outlined for us at the Roundwood. So can you talk us through that? What does that mean for you?
I suppose the quick answer is experiences. So exactly as Candice said, and Abdirahman said as well, it's about real-life experiences. So how can we immerse them in new experiences that add value to their lives and get them thinking bigger? So even from what we saw in the video earlier, you know, there was a young lady speaking about she wants to be a high fashion designer, and then she almost self-corrected and said, actually, that's beyond me. But why? You know, so for us, we like to think about how can we expose our students to the opportunities and, you know, environments that are going to get them thinking bigger than their current postcode. Because we are, you know, an inner London school, we're based in Battersea, and we've got almost 50% students who are eligible for free school meals. Now, that's not to say that they don't have aspirations, but it just means, you know, they may not have the pre-existing familial networks that other socioeconomic groups have, but they're passionate, they're driven, they're inspiring, they're keen to learn, they're keen to, you know, lean into that understanding of what lifelong learning looks like. So for us, we encourage them to build those softer skills. So for example, so at our school, we introduced T-levels last academic year. And something that's different with T-levels is that they have to do essentially 45 days in industry. And we have to prepare them for that. So that means going out to networking events, you know, creating a LinkedIn profile, utilising that LinkedIn profile, building that confidence to go up to an adult you've never met who's potentially doing a job that you would love to do and ask them for the LinkedIn details. And sitting with that degree of discomfort, but understanding that your future self will thank you for that. You know, you're becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, because essentially with our young people, they are not as exposed to environments like this building as other groups are in other schools and in, you know, more, let's say, affluent areas. And I think where employers can help is by giving them opportunities to upskill. So sharing their experiences of what their own career journeys look like, sharing their skill set, so whether that's listening or presenting skills, or things like mentoring, as Abdirahman said, you know, interview skills. Because for our young people, they are showing an increasing interest in earning as much as they can, but also new pathways like apprenticeships. They want to know how to get through the assessment centre process. So we work with our existing partners to prepare them for that. But we need more partners. All schools and colleges and alternative providers need more support from industry, because the gatekeepers know what they're looking for. So share that with us. Let's upskill our young people to be better prepared for interviews, to know what, you know, how to link their experiences. So let's say they came to Bloomberg. So let's say we had a group of 20 young people and they did a half-a-day workshop, and they might have done interview skills or, you know, or softer skills or group work and team building. Then our job, and that's just not as a school but as society, is to encourage them to say, okay, you've done this visit. How does that lean into teamwork? And how can you then share that in an interview? What, you know, if you use the STAR framework, so that's, you know, so situation, task, action, and result, how can you then connect the dots? Because that's all they need. They have the skills, they have the passion, and that's what we want. You know, when we heard from, I believe it was Noah, the head of the, you know, the Youth Trust, we want them to be as passionate as him and as forthcoming and as articulate as all the young people that I've heard speak today, because they're there, but they just need a bit of support and moulding. They have the raw talent. You know, and we're very fortunate to live in a diverse city like London, where we have, like, for example, at our school, we've got over 52 different languages. They've got the English as additional language. They already have the skills, the cultural nuances. They can speak, you know, to global audiences. But how are we, you know, supporting them? I don't want to say moulding, because it's about nourishing and encouraging, because they are, as we heard earlier, all individuals. But how can we draw out those individual strengths and qualities that the world needs?
Again, round of applause. I worked in a London borough not too far from you, and there was over 75 different nationalities and over 100 languages spoken. Yeah. And not a million miles from here. But never saw that as an asset. You know, the language acquisition and the ability to be in different spaces and to manage self in that is important. And I credit you for doing that. Thank you. I did make a note of the 45 days prep. I might need to talk about that. Be interested to see how that works out. So we're on to the final stretch. I just want to come back to you, Abdirahman. Just got a perspective, really, as a young Londoner. What's one thing you would like people in this room to action to remove some of the barriers to employment, as we've discussed as a panel?
So I have a bit of a challenge, bit of a homework for all of you guys here today, right? I would like, even that's if you mentor someone, I would like for you guys to pick up one additional young person to mentor. No one mentioned, I think there's a couple of young people in this room today. So you guys can start today. No skipping on the homework today, right? But mentoring isn't just, oh, hi, I don't mind, you know, mentoring, and you give them the email and then they have to reach out to you. No, you need to show them the way. A lot of young people, like, it might sound shocking to you, a lot of young people don't know how to email, feel scared of emailing, right? LinkedIn is not a social media they're used to. Teach them the way, show them the path. And one guiding, I'm going to workshop facilitator mode right here, but one guiding thing that you could potentially do is ask yourself this, right? What is one thing I wish I knew when I was 18 or 14 or 15? What are some skill sets that helped me in my journey? We get you need to go maybe study, go university, X, Y, Z, interview skills, TV, they're all great, we know. But what are the other skills? There are a couple of nuanced things in there. right? Okay, when you go to you do this, and how to be a better human, communicate. Whatever it is, whatever your skill set is, please go show them the way. Show them this is how you email, this is how you come up with a plan. So maybe you tell them, for the next 3 months, we're going to be speaking about this. How does it look like for you? Do you want to add something in there? So on and so forth. And then the next 3 months, they're coming up with a plan. Is that enough? Is that good enough? Yeah?
We've got the room. We've got the room. I'm dying to see what the homework is, actually, because I'm going to go around and ask people who they're communicating with. So we're just on the final stretch. We're just going to wrap up now. But we've got 2 or 3 minutes. I can take a question or two from the floor, if there are any. Do you want to shout out your question? Yeah.
Ooh, hello, now everyone can hear me. Hi everyone, my name's Leora. I'm a consultant in the transport and sports major event space, but I also came into the industry on an apprenticeship and now chair for the Department for Education, the London Apprenticeship Ambassador Network. We have a target to engage with every school and college by March 2026 in England on apprenticeships. And hearing from all of you today as to what you're looking for, we've got our business planning next week to set out what we want to achieve this year. What do you want me to write in that? What would be, obviously I'll do some work as well, but what would be your bucket list of things that you'd like to see us do this year from an apprenticeship perspective to help all of you?
Can I just ask one response each, if that's okay? Okay, Candice?
I think you're missing out a whole pool of young people. You need to connect with grassroots organisations and other establishments. Some children aren't in school.
Thank you.
I'd agree. I mean, I think we hear a lot about what can we do to make young people interested in opportunities at a certain point. It is about engaging them and raising awareness at a much younger age, and that informal learning space and the opportunity to play and explore and build a curiosity and a passion around an area, a subject, which will then inspire that ambition in terms of careers and next steps. I think it's too late. We've definitely learned at the Roundhouse it's too late if you're waiting at the point or supporting at the point to access the industry. You've unfortunately kind of put barriers in place for those young people that haven't had the opportunity to explore and play and test and learn and fail and try again previously. So I would say, what are you doing before that apprenticeship moment to engage and inspire?
Could we just hold? Thank you. Yep.
Oh, cheers.
I'm just going to hold there for a second, just in case there's another question, then I can get the other 2 panellists in. Anybody else got any questions? Would you like to take the same question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think it is about early introduction and understanding of pathways. I think, children understand through experience, and as Candice said, they learn best through play. And employment for them, they learn about different careers through playing. They want to be a doctor or they want to be a lawyer or whatever it may be, or they might want to be a builder. And I think apprenticeships have the power to accelerate social mobility in a way that, other generations haven't had the opportunity for. But I think it is about introducing those pathways earlier, because by the time they get to year 9 and they're choosing their options, it's almost too late, because you want to build the confidence. You want them to lean into I don't know how to do it, but I'm willing to learn. And that's how apprenticeships can help. And it's not just apprenticeships, it's, all industries. So for me, I would love to see apprentices going into primary schools, talking about their journey, because often apprentices are younger in comparison to some other more established employees. So getting young people in front of people that look more like them, that represent their age and their generation, perfect, and they're more relatable. And I think, just improving the information that's available for teachers, because a lot of teachers have gone to university. They're unaware of other pathways like apprenticeships. So how are they then able to support their students from an informed viewpoint? So I think those, for me, would be the key things.
Thank you.
I'll keep this short and brief. It would be very criminal to be a founder of a financial education charity, not a social enterprise, and not say financial education. At the end of the day, there's a lot of young people I've spoken to who say, I've been in this apprenticeship for 6 months and I've never read my pay slip. Or the fact that I'll come week 3 or 4 of payday of the month, my money's gone. I've never budgeted a day in my life. You can't just say, cool, they've got their apprenticeship now, it's done and dusted. There is the early intervention needed, but what's next? How do you help them through that first couple of months? Because at the end of the day, they might be the first time they've entered that type of employment before. So helping them through that, I think, will be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right on cue. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Hopefully, there's enough golden nuggets out there. Great question from the floor. Great panelists. Round of applause for the panel.